Hey, hi, hello, how are you? I'm Pia and today I'm going to be doing my January 2021 So in the month of January, how many books did I read? Well, if I was better prepared for this video, I would know this offhand. I read 7 books. You know, not bad, not great, but I read some books that I really loved, so I feel like that was like the win for the month. The first book that I read was The Chain by Adrian McNitty. This, I think, fulfilled my prompt for my TBR jar for an audiobook, so I listened to this on audio, obviously. Oh my gosh, this was so good. I don't read a lot of thrillers just because I'm so often like not surprised by anything, and just like, you know, like, saw that coming. Like, I just get tired of it. But oh my god. This book. I got this book from my best friend Ashley and she just hit it out of the park. I'm so excited to tell you guys about this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This is about a chain of kidnapping. So basically, like, your son, daughter, child gets kidnapped, and in order to get your son, daughter, child back, you have to kidnap another child and pay this ransom. And so you have to kidnap this child, and then their parents have to pay the ransom in order for you to get your child back. And it's this endless cycle, endless chain. And there were twists, there were turns. The only problem I had with this one, which is why I like didn't give it 5 stars, was that it wrapped up like too nicely to me. Like, this was such a suspenseful like story, and the stakes were so high. It was so good and so exciting. But like at the end I was like, I don't think that ending worked with this, what was going on, and I don't want to spoil it, but that's just my opinion. I definitely think I would read more by this author. Next book I read is actually one I finally finished, and that is The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre, I think. I forget what her last name is. This is a queer story about theater kids. It's about this love curse. So the stage director? I promise I like went to high school and I should know what this is called. The like stage manager, whatever. She has like this love curse with every time she's in a relationship during one of the plays or musicals, something goes horribly wrong. So they're like, hey, don't fall in love because like we want to have a good show. And so all the crew's in it. She goes and falls in love with this really cute gal. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I think it was an enjoyable read. It was really fun, but I don't think it was one that like blew my mind or was anything spectacular. Like I said, it was great to see like, you know, queer relationships, and it was very diverse in that. And I mean, I do love some geeky theater talk, but other than that, it was written a little bit weirdly. It had like stage directions and things like that, which I thought didn't really add much to the story, so I felt like they were a little bit unnecessary. It was fun, it was enjoyable, it just wasn't my favorite thing ever, so that's basically what 3-star means. I reread one of my favorite books, and I'm not going to talk about it too long because this is a reread, but I reread Call Me By Your Name by Ackman, and I love this book. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. In my first read of this, I actually just rewatched the vlog where I read this for the first time. It's called Call Me By Your Name and Getting Dumped, or maybe the other way around. It's a good one. You should watch it. I thought that was so funny. I read this book, like, which is like, you know, arguably like one of the most beautiful romances, or at least one of the most beautiful romances I've ever read, and I got dumped, and it was funny. Anyway, up to you. Make sure to dislike this video so I know you're here. Anyways, like everyone knows what this is about. I just think it's such a beautiful story of love and of humanity, and I think that it's just beautiful. And I just love it. And I cry every time. Then I read another fantastic book. I read one of the good ones by Mika Mollett and Maritzia Mollett. Oh my god, this book was so good. I previously read their, I think it was their debut book, which was Dear Haiti, Love Elaine, which I really liked. I think I gave that 4 stars. That was more fun. It had a little bit of like a suspenseful plot going on, but mostly just a fun contemporary. And this one blew that out of the water. This was an arc I had off NetGalley, so thank you, NetGalley. Okay, so this is about 3 sisters, and one of the sisters is killed by police brutality on her birthday for being at a protest, for being at a peaceful protest, and so later it's following the other 2 sisters as they're kind of dealing with the effects of that. And this sister had been widely known. She like was a YouTuber who was really popular, and she was just like a teenage activist who like spoke at a lot of things and like was, you know, a little bit well known. So it's them dealing with like, you know, this intense grief, and so they choose to go on this big trip that their sister had planned for like after her graduation, I think, to like remember her and do the things that she wanted to do and document it for her channel. And it's really a story about like family and heritage, and obviously about racial injustice. Obviously it also goes back in time, and it follows a couple other different perspectives. It goes really far back as far as like learning about green books and their use, and it does follow another perspective which I don't really want to explain the importance of because it comes in later. There there is a huge plot twist in this book that made me like gasp. I was dying. During like the last like part of this book, I was reading like so fast. I was like, oh my god, what is happening? I'm like, what is gonna happen? Oh my god, it had me on the edge of my seat. Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I think this was amazing. I think it's marketed wrong, or at least I was like not told how it was. Oh, maybe I should like actually pay attention to the synopsis because it says the hate you give mates get out, and I feel like that's actually really accurate. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but holy heck, that was crazy. It was so good. Then I read Becoming by Michelle Obama, my little baby. I listened to the audiobook of this because it's narrated by Michelle Obama, and wow. I mean, I love Michelle Obama. Who doesn't at this point? I hate this glare. This is annoying. Covers her beautiful face. I mean, this is her memoir. This is talking about her life. I can't like rate her life, but I think she's incredibly well spoken, and she not only speaks beautifully, but she writes beautifully. It's very comprehensible. It feels like a narrative. What else can I say about it? I mean, I loved like seeing her like fall in love with Barack, which I feel like everyone talks about, but I loved like seeing her like she overcame so many struggles, and I liked seeing her also like she was kind of like lost a lot in her life. She changed careers a lot, and I feel like that's not really talked about, especially with like a lot of successful people, is like they don't exactly know what they want to do. So I thought that was really great. I just love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's the best memoir I've read. If you guys have any other like memoir recommendations, because do get scared of nonfiction just because it definitely doesn't really read like a narrative most of the time, but if you have any good recommendations, like Becoming, please let me know. Next up, I read Girls on the Verge. I wasn't talking about my TV. Whoops. This was, I think, for the challenge of reading a young adult novel, maybe? I don't know. I should have watched that video. Again, unprepared booktuber. This is about a girl named Camille who gets pregnant, and she needs to get an abortion. She decides to get an abortion, and the only way to do that is to go to Mexico to try to get these pills to get an abortion because she can't tell her parents, and she's in a really religious community where she can't get it on her own. And all of these crazy things that are about the real world, and like you can't just have control over your body, which is concerning. So she goes on this road trip, and she's like taking her like, I was gonna say long lost friend, but her like not very close friend is like taking her, like, so they strike up a friendship, and then Camille's like actual best friend comes along who's like super religious and like was really mean to her at the start. So I read this book. I read Unpregnant, which is a very, very similar concept, if not kind of the same. I just think that, I mean, obviously this is an important read. It's obviously really important to have stories about, you know, women's choices with their own bodies and being pro-choice and all these things like that, and deciding, you know, what to do with your life, having the ability to make that decision. But I think that it was so similar to that I kind of weren't. I mean, it's a really short book, and I just feel like not a lot happened. You're also kind of thrown into the story in one way. I feel like this just could have been like a short story almost. I feel like it didn't need to be a novel, and it just like there wasn't a lot of like character development and things like that. I think honestly a more interesting story would be if we were following the perspective of Camille's friend, who is kind of like this really religious person, and kind of her view on Camille's decision and on the entire situation, and kind of growing to understand people's choices, and kind of like her having an emotional journey. But yeah, it was alright. I gave it 3 stars. I definitely recommend reading Unpregnant more than this one because I feel like that story was just more thought out and was just better written, and I liked that one better. So, and then lastly, I read We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. This is the first book in the, it has a series name. I don't remember what it is. I think it's a duology actually. This is the first book in a duology. And this is about a girl who is like the huntress. And so she like helps out her town, and she like kills all the things, and she's like the best hunter out there, and no one knows that like she's a girl. And then also follows this guy who's like the prince, and what is he called, like the Prince of Blood or something, Prince of Death, something like that. So like he kills all these people because like his dad is the king, and he's just like, hey, go kill this person, and it's like, all right, stab stab, and that's what he does. And so it's about her getting this mission from this like witch kind of, who's like, yo, like in order to bring magic back, because like your world kind of sucks, like everyone's like, there's a lot of creepy weird stuff going on. In order to bring it back, you have to go find this book, and you have to go through all this like treasure-ish stuff, but like if you do that, like you're gonna like help the world basically, so do it. And so our main character is like obviously gonna do it, have a little hero complex, so she does that, and the Prince of Blood, Prince of Death, whatever, the other guy, he finds out about that, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna kill her when she gets there so that I can take the book for the king. And it's just like an interesting thing, and obviously they meet up and like things happen, and there's a little romance here and there. Like this, I think I want to continue with the series. I think this is intriguing and fun, but I don't think it was my favorite fantasy in the whole world, but I do think that it's a worthwhile one and a good fun time because I love a good fantasy, so it was just a solid one and I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Those are all the books that I read in January. If you guys want to find out what I'm planning on reading in February, make sure to check out my February TBR, and if you want to see my thoughts as I'm reading these books in the next month, make sure to stay tuned for my weekly reading vlogs. Other than that, let me know in the comments down below what you guys read in January, or if you read any of these books, or if you just want to talk about any book that you really want to talk about, put it in the comments down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!